They will if we don't do anything. Oh, no, they don't. You hit it right on the nail, because this is something I want all of you to understand. I've sat in meetings like this. I've sat in briefings planning some of this. You want to see things that would curl your toes? I've watched these people connive and plan to cut this nation up at different times. I've had people, good men, work with me that left the military because of this. At a time when I felt it wasn't right to leave. I've had a lot of good men and women ask me, Mark, shouldn't I leave the military? Let me ask you something. Where would you rather have that person? Within the arm's reach of a rack of M16s or at home? I'd rather have the 20 M16. And let me tell you this, because to make no mistake about it, there are whole Army units that are with us. I have spoken to them. There are Guard units that even now are purging their New World Order crowds, and there aren't many, but there are some, and they are identifying them. And those Guard units know who their enemies are. And I've talked to many, and many of you have been with me when we've spoken to people who have represented those individuals and said, when the orders are given to shoot Americans, we shall turn and we shall execute those traitors that give the orders. We should be proud of those men, because, yes, it is not revolution. I want this understood too, because I know the term is what we're coined to phrase. Did I ever say, destroy this document? Never in my life have I said, destroy this document. It is mine, and I am defending it. And you are, and you are, and you are, and all of you are. If you fail to do so, the blood is on your heads for not acting. Because the blood will flow no matter what. The misery will exist no matter what. You're getting a taste of it right now. Shall we talk about Yugoslavia? It was fabricated. Can we talk about Americans dying in Somalia, quote unquote, because of poor intelligence? If you believe that garbage, leave now. I worked in the business. The only way that happened is that somebody set U.S. Rangers up to be slaughtered so that you get to see them on primetime television, so we could scream, "Remember the Maine!" and go running off into the desert chasing people who live there, who have a right to be there, who own that property. And like one major said, why don't we just get this all over with and bring Mr. Rockefeller's oil derricks over here right now? The men there know what's going on. We've polluted their minds too, I'm sure. That those tapes have gotten everywhere, trust me. We got a lot of recruits with these Ranger units because they've already gotten their butts shut off for no reason, and a lot of them are starting to wake up, if they aren't already. They were all told, by the way, that they were pet puppies too, that they were special, and that nothing would happen to them because they're their pet Dobermans. He liked Dobermans. You know, they are fun dogs. But these are Doberman puppies, and we can get new puppies all over again. Yeah? That's what they were looking at. We didn't scream off into the desert, remember the Maine. In some ways, I'll say it's for twofold reasons. Number one, enough Americans have back here in their lumber yard a thought that something is wrong. The other half have been conditioned too well and wouldn't get up out of their chair if you put a crowbar under their ass and tried to pry them out. Let's be honest. They did their training too well. They perverted too many. And with respect to that, they couldn't get the response that they wanted. Now, what else do we have in works right now? Well, hang on to your hats, kids. Korea is just around the corner. 800,000 North Koreans have been, shall we say, levied up to the border. U.S. forces are being poured in on a daily basis. A nephew of mine just returned from there rather quickly. His visa was originally blocked to leave Korea, and he is a civilian, not military. The people that he spoke to, that he knows that are in the military liaison office with the embassy, stated that over the last 2 weeks, up until this next week, there was a 70 to 80% probability of war. That after this first 2 weeks, there was a very high probability of war. Our enemy knows how to use the flashing hand. And that's what this is all about. Confusion, confusion, confusion. And he needs a war desperately. Who in their right mind will not support our soldiers in the field? I will support the soldier in the field as an American soldier. But this is a key, for they are going to go full circle with this ball of wax. Let's twist this around. It's now 40 years ago that we went to Korea the first time. Lost relatives. 57,000 Americans killed in less time than it took to kill them in Vietnam. A winter war, the likes of which we had not seen before. Anybody who knows the forgotten war knows the misery of Korea. And they want us to go back. It's like a CD. They use it. They pull it out after a few years. They can put it back in or put it on the shelf. In this case, they pulled it out. They waited 40 years. Time to put the CD back in. We want to play this song one more time. The idea is also a great anniversary. On the coming of the victory of the Iron Fist, they shall demonstrate once again their capability to manipulate this country. And they shall get us into some kind of action somewhere. Korea would help to do two things. Number one, Mr. Rockefeller has taken his resources out of the United States and put them into the Asian Rim. In order for Asia to become this superpower we've talked about before, he has to consolidate all of his countries. Whether North Korea comes down and defeats the South, or South Korea comes north and defeats them, it makes no difference. Because they now need a single Korea with a great pogrom to wipe out one side or the other. That is their social engineering technique. Need I remind you of Vietnam in 1975 or Kampuchea in 1976? The killing fields. It got rid of the competition real quick. And that's not 25 years ago. I'd say that's pretty good. We can plug this program back in and people are so foolish that we're going to forget it. It's only a quarter century ago. Pogrom. Purge. We aren't supposed to think about those terms right now. Kafat. There are 1,000 different terms for the same technique. Facing one population against another and never getting any of us to do one thing that makes the most sense. Stop and look up 15 degrees to see who's pulling the strings of the other kid. With what they've created in the United States, they're going to do the same thing. Do you not see it now? It is very straightforward. It is very simple. In fact, it's become ridiculously simple, and they're so sloppy now and so crude that I'm amazed. But then again, I will say something. If you want to see just how far downhill we've gone, look at the intricacies and complications of the media of the 70s even. And take a look at the quality and the conversations that took place, that were in the media. Take a look at today's standards and see how far we have sunk. They feel that they have dumbed us down that far, that we are incapable of thinking for ourselves, which in some cases they're doing a good job of trying to condition us into. We have to change that. That gets right back to what I said before about education. The linchpin is this, and I'll keep going back to it whenever I speak from this point on. I made a mistake and left this in the coat before I left the house, and we had to turn around and go back. Okay? Because I do not leave home without it. This is better than American Express and Visa and all the others. Trust me. In fact, it's priceless. The original, worth an ocean of blood. A payment that we have to honor, a sacrifice that we may have to make. But one that I am more than willing to if need be. A lot of the Founding Fathers spoke about